Everyone's favorite Jiga Chad that is able to navigate through a magical school without having any magic is back with Mashle, Magic and Muscles Season 2, where Mash transcends the limits of what you can achieve by going to the gym, so let's get started. Adadorm has gathered the most coins and Mash's friends managed to convince the student to keep quiet about the fact that he can't use magic. Finn, feeling uneasy, talks to another student who spills Mash's secret before Mash hurriedly tries denying it, but Finn steps in. The student warns him that he could be expelled for helping a non-magic user. They head back to their dorm and celebrate their victory over Langdorm. While Mash waits for the divine visionary selection, Finn remains worried. Abel and Abyss join them for dinner, but Finn remains wary of them before Abel brings out a deck of cards. Lennon offers Abyss some tea, but he suddenly becomes flustered before Mash sucks dropped cream puff into his mouth like a vacuum. Looking at them celebrating, Finn remarks that this is too chaotic. Abyss privately warns Mash about Innocent Zero's interest in him, revealing how that after people with strong magical abilities. He discloses Abel's backstory and says he's confident Mash's ability to bring peace. Meanwhile, a student eavesdrops on Mash's conversation with Abyss in shock, but suddenly runs away after seeing Abel return. An owl arrives with a letter, stating news of an emergency inquiry at the Bureau of Magic. During the inquiry, officials disapprove of Mash for not having any magic, viewing it as a threat to their world's stability. Rio, a divine visionary, acknowledges Mash's potential but says following rules is more important, and challenges Mash to perform a miracle stronger than magic, and tells him to light a candle without touching it, so Mash brings out a wand and starts rapidly rubbing it against the wall before producing a large torrent of fire and lighting a candle as he declares that he'll sway the majority with his fist. Meanwhile, a group of divine visionaries remark that regulations exist to maintain order and there are no exceptions. Suddenly, Bless, under control of Innocent Zero, attacks Mash, so he rips out the magiparasite controlling him and easily immobilizes it. Despite this, Otto appears beside him to eliminate him, but Rio steps in to intervene before Wahlberg and Rain slowly enter the room. Otto doubts Wahlberg's choice to involve the divine visionaries, arguing that Mash's lack of magic means death, but Wahlberg says Mash's uniqueness might help in capturing Innocent Zero, who seems interested in him, as Rio tells Mash that Wahlberg is considered a living legend, since he's the only one who could go toe-to-toe with Innocent Zero. Wahlberg says he has an issue with how non-magic users are treated, and despite the others' objections, Rain supports Wahlberg and Blair says this case was his to process, and he wants them to defer the sentencing, so Otto agrees to spare Mash if he can become a divine visionary and prove he can beat Innocent Zero. Back at the dorm, Mash tells Lance that he doesn't have any magic, so Dot says they should go out and have fun. But Finn worries about what they'll wear and sees Dot wearing a full armor, Mash with workout clothes, and Lance with a t-shirt of his sister. They play a street game and visit a magic wand shop, as Finn worries about Mash's not being able to use magic, but is impressed when he lifts a legendary wand, after which Mash remarks that he feels happier. Days later, Mash plans to return home, worrying Rain while Otto plans to stop him from participating in the Divine Visionary exam by sending Margaret, but as they're on their way, Rain suddenly attacks them while Mash and his friends happily decide to play a board game. Dot loses all his money in the game after being tricked by a lady on a tile, and Lemon's turn lands her in jail for restraining her love interest, which disappoints Lance, who is sent back to the beginning due to a tile revealing that his little sister will bring home a boyfriend. Finn's good deed earns him cash, but they're surprised when Mash is executed because the public discovers that he can't use magic. Meanwhile, Margaret defends himself from attacks and traps Rain, declaring that life needs excitement before rain. Respecting Mash's dream of being magic-free, unleashes his power, and Wahlberg tells Neri about Rain's abilities and the importance of magical marks, especially his triple liner mark. Rain's third mark strengthens him against Margaret's spell, and he summons Errors before completely obliterated Margaret and the forest path. After the battle, he encourages Mash for the upcoming exam as Margaret sees the blood he lost and remarks that they save the best of last on exam day. Mash runs into Otto while heading into the battlefield, and his muscles assure him he can do it before he tells Otto he'll take him on with all his gut. As Mash enters the arena, the crowd starts booing him for not having any magic before the exam begins with a survival match in which they'll be hunted by 3 dead events all the time, horrifying Finn. The exam begins with the announcer teleporting the candidates to a field, which the audience watches through mirrors. Feeling hopeless, Finn sees a Dedevant heading towards another candidate, so the candidate tries to defend, but they find out that it's immune to magic, and the candidate gets eliminated unlike the others. Mash straight up punches the Dedevant, however. The announcer declares that it can instantly heal since it's a phantom, so Mash instantly starts running away from it and gets helped by a candidate named Max who shrinks his size. He explains that the Dedevants don't have good eyesight and says they should work together to pass the exam. While searching for the key, they come across the large balloon guarded by a Dedevant and try to retrieve the key before finally inflating it with magic and blowing it up to secure the key. Meanwhile, Lance successfully passes the test using gravity magic, and upon returning, Mash gives the key to Max, who convinces Mash to go on without him and suddenly collapses after an attack by Carpaccio, another student. Carpaccio takes Max's position and advances to the next round before insulting Mash as a weakling, but Mash says he hasn't met someone stronger than him yet. The exam proceeds to a team battle involving magic crystals they have to protect. Divided into teams, Finn worries about their chances without Lance before Mash and Dot accidentally break theirs, but vow to protect his crystal before they're split apart in a labyrinth, and he angrily questions why they aren't together despite this being a team match. In the enchanted world where ancient wands called Master Canes are known for their immense power, skilled mages are bestowed with extraordinary abilities, raising them to great heights. During the exam, Mash and Dot hurriedly decide to go find Finn as Dot wonders if they're screwed now. Understanding the team depends on him, Finn decides to guard their final crystal with his life before suddenly seeing Carpaccio with a knife lodged in his arm, standing over another candidate. He tells the candidate that this is why he should live the life he deserves and crushes his crystal before walking away, seeing which Finn decides to lay low here. He turns himself into a wall and looks around to see if he's gone before Carpaccio suddenly appears behind him and starts insulting him and warning him to hand over the crystal, but Finn decides to protect it for Mash's sake and suddenly starts bleeding. Finn decides to use his personal magic and switches Carpaccio's location to run away, but he suddenly gets cut before Carpaccio slowly approaches him and starts stabbing himself as the audience realizes he can transfer damage to his opponent. Finn refuses to give in, so Carpaccio is about to cut his neck before Mash arrives and smashes his head into the wall, thanking Finn. Carpaccio says his wand is special as Mash realizes he's getting hit by his own attacks. Finn remarks that you can barely call it a battle since it feels like Carpaccio's always on the offensive, but Mash decides to go all in and pummels him relentlessly, managing to make a crack in the goddess who starts attacking him with syringes. Seeing this, Mash sculpts a tennis racket with his iron wand and starts constantly hitting the ball at that single crack before finally managing to defeat it. Once that's done, he decides to show Carpaccio what pain is and smashes the racket at his head, as Finn remarks that was a bit excessive. Realizing what pain is, Carpaccio admits he's completely outmatched against Finn. Carpaccio's teammates get ready to fight Margaret, but he easily identifies their weaknesses with his hearing and advises them to surrender their crystals, but they refuse, hoping to defeat him with their combined strength before he effortlessly defeats them with a simple spell, leaving them shocked and useless against his power. With Carpaccio's team out of the running, the exam ends, and the candidates head back to the arena. Dot praises Mash for his performance in the qualifying round, but Mash remarks that he wants a cream puff while Wahlberg admits Mash is going to face his toughest challenge, yet as he gets ready to battle Margaret. Margaret eagerly waits for his fight with Mash, and sensing the danger, Mash gets ready for the opponent he's about to face. However, the divine visionary Caldo remarks that he's concerned about Mash's safety, since he may be outmatched by Margaret's overwhelming strength. One of the defeated candidates asks Margaret to make sure he defeats Mash and offers to slip him a laxative, but he flicks him away and tells him to not do anything to dampen his fun. Meanwhile, Mash remembers his intense training schedule while Lemon thinks about how she's an emotional burden, and says that's because the man she loves is right there before rejecting Dot as Finn remarks that he wants to home. Seeing Dot, Mash suddenly remembers his protein intake and starts drinking his muscle shake. Caldo suddenly appears and challenges him to a game to assess his abilities, so Mash accepts the challenge and begins the game of you look, you lose. Mash keeps managing to avoid looking in the directions Caldo points towards in the first 2 rounds and breaks off the entire area he's restricted to so that he can avoid losing, but as an owl takes his cream puff, he looks right, so Caldo says they'll call this one a draw. As the final exam looms, Mash faces off against Margaret and swiftly avoids getting hit, while Margaret doesn't take any damage either and says he's far from having enough enjoyment. Margaret summons a bright pillar of light, leaving the audience shocked by his strength, comparable to that of a divine visionary. Despite this, Mash charges towards him, so he attacks him with an energy ball, which proves too heavy for Mash to deflect, causing an explosion as it collides with the wall. But to everyone's surprise, Mash suddenly disappears and grabs Margaret before slamming him into the ground. As the smoke clears, Dot wonders how Mash managed to dodge the energy ball, so Finn explains that he retreated when he realized he couldn't deflect the attack, escaping its impact before it hit the wall. They suddenly realize that Margaret is unharmed, which Calder notes is because of a sound cushion he created before colliding with the ground. Although the audience assumes Mash used magic, Calder clarifies that he didn't cast any spells. Margaret, enjoying the fight, continues launching energy balls, which Mash swiftly keeps dodging, but seeing how he's moving, Margaret guesses he's protecting something, which turns out to be a cream puff. Despite his attitude, Margaret's true goal is to enjoy and stimulate himself. Waiting for Margaret's ultimate spell, Calder acknowledges his advantage before Margaret tells Mash to reveal his full strength, but catches him off guard with a magical fist and starts relentlessly attacking him, leaving him at a disadvantage. Margaret then casts the Death Gong, a powerful spell that induces unconsciousness within a 2-kilometer radius unless his wand is destroyed, so Mash hurriedly tries to reach Margaret before the spell activates, and just as the bell is about to ring, he hurls a slab of concrete at him. Mash manages to disable Margaret's wand, stopping the Death Gong, which impresses Margaret, who admits defeat. However, the arena suddenly starts shaking a rival as Innocent Zero arrives on top of a black dragon and freezes time. He approaches Mash and says he wants to absorb him to achieve his ultimate form, but Wahlberg appears behind him and says he shall not absorb Mash, declaring that he simply cannot hand Mash over to him. Wahlberg says he has a duty to protect the students as the Academy's headmaster. One of Innocent Zero's lackeys prepares to attack him, but Wahlberg's look makes him imagine his own defeat. Laughing, Wahlberg orders him to step back, while Innocent Zero defends his friend. He asks Innocent Zero about his goal, to which he admits he's looking for perfection, regardless of the suffering he may cause. Wahlberg challenges his self-centeredness and says Mash is important as a symbol of hope before unleashing his magic. Wahlberg summons Wonderenus, and Innocent Zero calls forth Cronus before summoning demons, as well, that are only focused on absorbing Mash. Wahlberg orders the candidates and visionaries to fight the demons while he faces Innocent Zero, so Dot and Lance use magic to defeat the demons, joined by Calder and Orta. Innocent Zero watches them battle before Wahlberg transports them to a private area for an uninterrupted duel. As they battle, a tower suddenly appears with Cell War, so Mash starts fiercely kicking it to bring it down as Dot notices Sitter Baby, a baby who transforms him and Lance into children, after which they both start squabbling, but Sitter Baby says this battle was one-sided from the start, so Lance limits the range of his Graviol magic to instantly defeat him, after which they return to their original forms. Meanwhile, Rio and Neri head to the arena, thinking about Wahlberg's connection to Innocent Zero. Meanwhile, Innocent Zero reveals that he doesn't have a face, and seeing Wahlberg's reaction, remarks that he's looking at him like some kind of monster before declaring that he is going to absorb Mash and eliminate Wahlberg. Using forbidden magic, he traps Wahlberg in a deadly spell while Mash starts running through Cell's attacks and swiftly punches him in the face. Knocked down, he wonders how he was defeated so easily, so Mash says he's already seen his attacks once before, so they won't work twice. Adam was a pioneer of magic and established the Bureau of Magic, earning him unparalleled influence in mage history. He always supported helping those without magical abilities and taught his students to protect the weak. In present day, the coffin containing Adam suddenly breaks open, revealing his body as Innocent Zero says he's revived Adam as a mindless servant. Wahlberg objects, but Necros uses his body manipulation and defends Innocent Zero. Despite Wahlberg's efforts, Innocent Zero finishes Adam's unstoppable revival through his powerful magic, and in a flashback, Adam tells Wahlberg to protect the weak. Though Wahlberg questions why, so Adam laughingly acknowledges his youth, but urges him to stay true to their principles. In the present, Wahlberg starts battling Adam, prepared to defend the Academy. Despite his age, Wahlberg believes he's the strongest mage alive. However, Adam uses his powerful dark magic to overwhelm him. As they're battling, Adam unleashes dark energy, but Wahlberg counters with his wand's full power and uses his expertise in spatial manipulation aids against Adam's dark arts before defeating Necros, declaring that he's committed to Adam's teachings, so Innocent Zero challenges him to battle. In the arena, Lance and Caldo are fighting a horde of demons and Orta urges them to fight, realizing the demons are going to drain their magic. Meanwhile, Mash learns of Innocent Zero's plan from Cell, who reveals that Innocent Zero's wants to become immortal by sacrificing 6 relatives, including Mash. Stunned, Mash says that's too weird and grabs him from behind to furiously choke him and KO him in an instant. As Cell slowly falls, Mash says he cares for the school, so if they're going to try to destroy it, he'll choke them out with his muscles. Rio and Neri approach the arena, with Rio suddenly worrying about his appearance, wanting to look his best before they suddenly stop when Neri notices that time has stopped around them. Realizing they're in a zone where a mage has stopped time, Rio decides to go on alone, confident in his magical abilities. Upon reaching the arena, he praises Orta and Caldo for protecting the students, discovering the candidates helped them. He asks about Mash and learns he defeated Cell before seeing enjoying a cream puff. Orta informs him about Wahlberg's ongoing battle with Innocent Zero and Mash's search for him, though he doubts Mash's success. Orta says they should interrogate Cell to find Innocent Zero, but they're stopped by a protective barrier. Recognizing someone is shielding him, they decide to stay in the arena for the students' safety, and despite wanting to fight Innocent Zero, Rio remembers Wahlberg's teachings, prioritizing student safety and trusting Mash's strength to find Wahlberg. Innocent Zero reflects on Wahlberg's powerful magic, but suddenly gets trapped by Wahlberg's spatial manipulation. In a flashback, it's revealed how Wahlberg struggled as a child, but with Adam's encouragement, he got more and more confident. In present day, Wahlberg vows to protect his students, unleashing his full power against Innocent Zero. Despite being wounded, he attacks Innocent Zero with full power, and as the light fades, he faces Innocent Zero, who reverses time to gain the upper hand. Innocent Zero strikes Wahlberg, but just as he's about to be defeated, Mash intervenes, reminding Wahlberg of their first meeting and saying he'll knock the stuffing out of any enemy who overwhelms him. Mash challenges Innocent Zero to a duel, surprising Wahlberg, who finds the moment awkward, becoming distracted by Mash's legs. Meanwhile, everyone at the arena becomes confused and questions why Wahlberg's spell vanished before Caldo realizes Innocent Zero turned back time. Rio decides to find Wahlberg, leaving Caldo in charge, acknowledging Innocent Zero's power, while Mash refuses to retreat despite Wahlberg urging him to. Innocent Zero tries to manipulate Mash, but he stands firm, prompting Innocent Zero to attack. He traps Mash and Wahlberg with a dark spell, boasting of his body experiments and magic theft, including Adam's, and although Mash rescues Wahlberg, Innocent Zero says he's already drained his magic. Taking control of Uranus, Innocent Zero unleashes destructive light beams using Wahlberg's magic. Mash rushes in, but Innocent Zero doesn't budge, confident in his strength, but despite trying to defeat him, Mash fights back. Remembering their past discussion, Wahlberg realizes Innocent Zero's plan to absorb Mash for his perfect body, and challenges Innocent Zero's claim that Mash doesn't have the right to live without magic. Innocent Zero attacks, but Mash swiftly saves Wahlberg and is determined to defeat him. Declaring that magic isn't everything, so Innocent Zero retreats, leaving behind a dark energy beam that fizzles out, confusing the others. Suddenly, a powerful monster appears and prepares to attack the academy. Exhausted, Wahlberg is rescued by Rio, and they watch as it breaks into the arena, scene which Lance and Margaret quickly join the fight. Attack is stopped by a magic barrier, and Caldo remarks that an enemy mage might be involved and joins Orta's search while the academy prepares themselves as the monster approaches them. Suddenly, Mash intervenes and grabs the monster's chain to stop it. Seeing that he's trying to protect them, the students start cheering for him before Mash finally hurls the monster away. Later, Wahlberg wakes up in the infirmary where Rio informs of Mash's heroism hearing, which he remarks that the one who embodies Adam's concept the most is Mash. Caldo and Dot locate the mage behind the barrier and plan to arrest him, but Orta intervenes, crushing the mage. He assumes Caldo supports Mash and says he'll never accept Mash, to which Caldo says he hasn't completely accepted Mash either, but his strength is legitimate and Orta will have to accept it too. News of Innocent Zero's attack spreads, But the authorities praise the divine visionaries for handling it, and the Bureau of Magic conceals the truth of what actually happened. Troubled, Mash decides on a beach trip with his friends, and while they're enjoying themselves, Dot shows them a watermelon creature that attacks Mash, so he defeats it and says they should eat it, to Finn's shock. As they play, they discuss Mash's future and worry about how the public might react negatively to Mash not having any magic, but Lemon defends him, and Wahlberg arrives, warning of Mash's upcoming challenges, but relaxes despite this, noting the brief nature of summer. He tells them about Innocent Zero, urging support for Mash because of his unique strength and determination that is very important for overcoming difficulties. Despite Lemon's worries, he says he believes in Mash's strength and tells him to succeed in the Visionary Candidate exam. With the exam oncoming, Mash says he's received so many things dear to him since he's entered this school and vows to become the Divine Visionary, declaring that no matter what comes his way, he'll knock the stuffing out of it with his fists. And with that, the season comes to an end. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.